Rena, please tell me, what will happen to me? Rena stood imposingly, not answering. I thought she disappeared, but Rena didn't disappear. So, what will happen to me? Oh, more of the insane laughter. I have never heard such an unpleasant laugh before. I'd become aching to the sound of her breathing. It was no longer a voice or an expression of feeling. Don't worry, I'll save you. Oh wait, everything is still not looking good for us, still not looking good. Rena took one step forward, still holding the axe high above her head. Now then. One step closer, Rena's face spread out to fill my vision. Speak. One step closer. Rena's nose was close enough to touch mine and was still pushing closer. There's something you want to say, isn't there? I'll listen. I'll save you, okay? Speak, okay? Speak, okay? I slumped down, landing squarely on my butt. It wasn't for some pathetic reason. It was all I could do to get as far away from Rena. Oh, wow, that's too much. That is too much for me there. That is a lot of ha-ha-has. I had the good feeling that I couldn't let her laugh end. Because when that laughing ended, the moment I picked up on that feeling, my body moved by instinct. I sprang to my feet so fast I couldn't believe it, and pushed Rena away with both hands. Both! Not one, both. Rena was light as a feather. Thrown about by the unbalanced weight of the axe, she was sent backwards as if she had been carried off by the wind. After confirming that out of the corner of my eye, I dashed off at full speed. I was the perfect picture of fleeing like a greased pig. I have never heard that saying before. Get away from Rena. Run away. Survive. I couldn't think of anything other than this. While I was running, I remembered I'd been holding onto a bat the entire time. Such a worthless weapon. I couldn't believe I forgot about this weapon in such an important time. I sped even further down the winding path. To be fair, he was paralysed with fear, I guess, as like bat versus axe, I wonder which one's gonna win. I didn't even feel myself gasping for breath or my legs getting heavy. My body understood it well. If I didn't run away from here, I wouldn't live. I could hear the laughter of that simulacrum of Rena coming from behind me. It rang through the streets and in my head, and slowly chiseled away at my sanity. I think there's like very little left to begin with now, after everything else. The grove of trees thinned out, my field of vision suddenly expanding. Where was this? For a moment, I was bewildered by the scenery. I felt bewildered by the scenery I felt I knew but couldn't quite remember. I quickly realised it was the damn sight. The fact I dashed madly and ended up in a place like this gave me a bad feeling, like I was following someone's scripted plot. Well, you kind of are. I had a good view of my surroundings, but I didn't see a single soul here. There was a terrible spot for someone on the run, but there was no better place for an attacker. My heart was already on the verge of bursting. The muscles in my legs were screaming, but I didn't care. If I stopped here, then they might not even be able to scream for much longer. Even still, I glanced back, looking for an excuse to rest. Rena wasn't there. Instead, I saw two villagers walking around. I breathed a sigh of relief that it wasn't Rena, but a third party. Except, the voice inside me rang the alarm once again. Villagers walking around weren't suspicious in of themselves, but it bothered me. They both wore rough-looking clothes. Empty-handed, they gave the impression that they were just out for a walk. But at the At this time of day, 2 adults wandering around without a purpose, it was enough to raise questions. But more than anything else, those eyes. They weren't chit-chatting while walking, they were both silent, heading forward, looking in my direction. Was I at the end of my rope and had finally started imagining things? I should run away. That was probably the best choice. If they weren't involved, I'd lose them easily by running. If they were part of the group after me, then they would come running after me. Either way, unless I hurried up, Rena would catch up with me. That's right, I was going to run. Deciding that, the moment I began to turn tail, both of them rushed towards me, as if they knew exactly what I was thinking. Somewhere inside me, I had jumped to the conclusion that Rena was the only thing I needed to be afraid of. I made the assumption that I didn't need to fear anything else. But right now, I just realized how blatantly wrong I was. Suddenly the story Oshi-san told me about the demons all leaving the village to hunt prey floated through the back of my mind. I could tell they were both coming after me without even turning around because of their frenetic footsteps. It was frightening, being unable to shake off Rena as she slowly closed in on me, but this didn't even compare. Being pursued with such violent ferocity, this straightforward horror was unparalleled. One of the pursuer's arms grazed my shoulder. Now, it wasn't just their frenzied footsteps, but the distant sound of their breathing that I could hear. No, I could practically feel them breathing on me. They were already right behind me. Calm down, Keiichi Maibara. Still running at full tilt, I felt the surrounding area go still. No, it felt like time itself had stopped. I turned my head back slightly in that frozen world, realizing how close my pursuers had gotten to me. I couldn't win against the legs of an adult. In less than the time it would begin to blink twice, when this frozen time began moving again, to be right on top of me. And then... Don't think about that, Keiichi. No, don't run that trail of thought. First, realize that you won't be able to shake them off like this. If the fact that you can't get away was a given, then you need to make a decision. Go with the right leg, or go with the left. You just need to decide which one. Let's go with the left. The moment I decided that, the temporal singularity burst into pieces. Wow. Right. Left. I swung the bat in a wide arch with my right arm. Using the inertia, I stopped and suddenly spun. What? The two of them were clearly startled. Momentarily losing sight of me, both of their outstretched arms, ready to grab me, instead grasped that empty space. The man on the right, I applaud him being able to figure it out, spun around to the spot I shouldn't have been and faced me in astonishment. But it was too late. I didn't even need to swing my bat. All I needed to do was extend my arms as I turned around. It was by no means a heavy blow, but it seemed like it had enough power behind it to knock him off his feet even. But just knocking him down wasn't enough to scare him away. He got back up in no time. Both of them took a fighting stance and were ready to face me. This made me certain they weren't just two people out for a walk. They were clearly after me. It felt much easier than dealing with Rena. Just by not recognizing their faces, by not knowing them, it made things easier. I smiled wryly on the inside. What do you want with me? Next one is going to be right in your face, you bastard. It's fine if it's just a bluff. By barking at them, I was able to fire myself up. They didn't respond. They spread out to either side of me with unbelievably calm expressions on their faces. One of them would grab onto my bat, and the other would hold me down. Was that their plan? Taking on both of them at once would be impossible. Hot sweat poured from every pore in my body. Then I just have to settle it with the first move. I step in and strike the first one down. Narrowing my target down to the man on the right, who had already been knocked down before, I stepped in and swung with all my might. There was no way for an unarmed person to guard against it. It would have caused immense damage. If they blocked it with their arm, their bone would snap like a twig. If they turned their back to it, then it was possible that the blow would travel all the way to their vital organs. What a horrible, horrible thought. It looked like he was aware of this. He pushed farther through the kill zone between us and delivered a fist right into my gut. No good. With this distance, in this position, and in this state, there was no way for me to dodge it. Ooh, that's a heavy blow there. There we go. I was wondering what was happening then. The world flipped upside down. I understood that I was being tossed around like a rag doll. I landed on the soft earth without a sound, feeling the grainy soil press against my face. It didn't hurt at all. Not that adrenaline going through you at the moment. Oh god, that's not good. The moment I thought that, I suddenly felt pain going from all the abrasions on my skin, as well as the contents of my stomach being forced upwards, flooding my mouth with a bitter sensation. I knew very well that I didn't have the time to relish this experience. I stood up as quickly as I could, but at that moment the other man was already barreling towards me. Being able to comprehend calmly that I simply couldn't dodge it made it all the more upsetting. After plying into my stomach full force once again, my assailant twisted around behind me and locked his thick arms around my neck. My throat felt like it was being crushed by his immense strength. I couldn't even contemplate that I was being strangled or that I was about to go unconscious. My vision simply darkened. The silent whining noise began playing deep inside my mind. It took everything I had to keep myself from blacking out. While this was happening, the other man was more than likely standing in front of me. I wasn't able to open my eyes, but I could feel that he was there. There was nothing I could do now. Unable to shake this arm off me, I couldn't run. I couldn't fight back. Dire straits. I couldn't even come up with a better phrase. I couldn't even come up with the phrase that adequately described my situation. And we slowly fade into unconsciousness. And we are... Where are we? Seriously, where are we? I have no idea what's happened. We saw some fields momentarily, and now we're back at home. Good news.